Hello and welcome from Melbourne, Australia. We have today some traditional Slovak cooking. It's just coming up to Christmas 2006 and Olga's joining us today to share with us some recipes from Slovakia. We're going to be doing some yeast rolls. There are two recipes that we'll be running through. One is a walnut yeast roll, and the other one is a cheese yeast roll. There are in fact three recipes. There's also a poppy seed one that we won't be doing today. So the poppy seed one, Olga, how do you pronounce that one? Orechovnik?
Orechovnik.
And the walnut one?
Orechovnik.
And cheese roll?
Twarožník.
Okay, so what we're going to be doing is this is going to be the first of three videos. The first video is going to be going through the yeast pastry, and we'll then run through the walnut and the cheese. So Olga, the ingredients that we've got for making the yeast pastry, would you just run through those for us?
There's plain flour, salt, yeast, milk, sugar, butter.
Okay, and the quantities of those on the recipe
is approximately 2 pounds of plain flour, an ounce of yeast, that's compressed yeast, a quarter of a pound of butter, about half a cup of sugar, and 2 well beaten eggs. So we'll show you how to put all this together when we come to that stage. Excellent.
And then we'll be going on and actually making the walnut filling for it, and that requires ground almonds, walnuts, butter, cinnamon, and sultanas and vanilla, and sugar and butter. And then the final one is ricotta cheese, lemon, and an egg for the cheese roll. The other thing that you need to put this together is the following utensils. You need a board or a workbench and a mixing bowl, a rolling pin and wooden spoon, a set of scales to measure out the quantities, as well as a measuring jug. And you'll see at the back there, and it needn't be one that looks quite like this, but this is what we're going to be using to grind the walnuts into a medium ground. And then after it's all made, we then need to bake these dishes. The baking tray with the upturn is for the cheese, which can ooze out a little bit, and then a flat tray for the walnut. And we've then also just got a little bit of spray so that the rolls don't stick to the baking trays. So Olga, thanks very much. We'll now run straight through into getting things prepared for
the next stage.
For the next stage, which is making the yeast pastry. Okay, so to get things started, Olga, we kick off with the milk. Just run us through.
We're going to put in 1 pint of milk, and we're going to heat it till it's lukewarm. And this shall be used for the pastry and also to start proving the yeast. Okay. We'll put half of the yeast mixture in here. Yeah. And to help the yeast to prove, we always put a little bit of sugar and a little bit of flour and mix it in. That, a bit of sugar. And in the meantime, you could measure out 2 pounds of flour and put it in the bowl with the pinch of salt. Okay. Straight into here? Yep. How much have we got there?
1 pound.
1 pound. Okay, and we'll put some salt in. Should be sufficient. And it's important that the milk is not overheated, because if the milk is overheated, it will stop the yeast from bubbling. It has to be just lukewarm.
Okay. So just sort of tepid, is it?
Yeah, tepid or lukewarm, tepid, whatever you like to call it.
Like baby milk warm.
Yes, and now we can also put the sugar in here, half a cup of sugar. That, and we can also now beat up these 2 eggs which can go in there, okay, into the mixture. Now I would think that this is hot enough to put into the yeast mixture. Okay. We just put about, that's enough, and we can continue to heat this. And we crumble the yeast into that mixture, into the milk and the sugar and the flour.
Just move the eggs over to the side so we can see what's happening. Thank you.
I'm going to have to do it with a whisk.
It should be covered to sort of keep the warmth in there. Okay. And then we can start mixing the flour and the sugar. We'll also put the butter now into the milk, so this 1/4 pound of butter goes into the milk.
How long does the yeast sit there for?
Well, until it starts bubbling.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it needs a little bit more warm milk in it.
Okay.
Doesn't seem to be enough.
So how do you gauge exactly how much you need?
Just
So that it starts to dissolve in there.
it will start bubbling and sort of, you'll see what's like fermenting. You've got a knife, please? Photograph it. Maybe we should put the egg in here too now.
Alright, so we'll just wait for the yeast
Just wait
to
now
rise.
for the yeast.
Okay, well we're probably about 5 minutes later now, and you'll see that the volume of the yeast has come up quite a bit.
Which we shall now put into the mixture, into the basin. We mix it in gently, and we then put the butter and flour, but be careful not to make it too hot because then it'll burn.
So there's a bit of a well in the middle, but we haven't needed to sift the flour, it's just gone directly in.
So now we mix this until it's well mixed, and we look at the consistency, whether it needs more flour or does it need more milk. We shall have to judge that for ourselves.
If it needs more milk, do you have to then reheat the milk?
Yes, you don't put cold because that would kill the yeast.
Okay.
Actually, that looks pretty good to me.
Because coming
Chuck that
together.
And the idea is to mix it so well that the wooden spoon will become clean. This movement is very important, that you
Gets the air in.
that you lift the dough from underneath, and you probably need a few people to help because one person
Gets exhausting.
So how long do you have to work it like this for normally?
until the wooden spoon becomes clean. See how you sort of lift it and aerate it?
Yeah.
Clean this up so we've got a nice tidy bowl, nothing else. And that gets over the top, and now we have a cup of tea and wait for it to rise.